all the romance came about. First year, we were all new to each other, and I had a crush on Darlene. I was madly in love with Sharon. And all the romances sort of petered out after the first year. We started fighting. And
Except me, I keep
Annette and I connected
yeah,
on.
right.
Annette and I went
then
steady
we
for about an hour.
became very, very close. I think all of us
That's it.
today are probably as close as anyone could be to each other. We're
You get
very
along
good
now?
friends.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, well, like Cubby and I were saying last night that we can go 3 or 4 years without seeing each other. And then when we run into each other, it was like yesterday that we saw each other. We're just very tight.
You know, we were talking a while ago about Annette Funicello, who was one of the most popular musketeers on my block, and I'm certain that I speak for a lot of other little kids who lived on blocks other than mine. She is now 32 years old, and her name is Mrs. Jack Gallardi and Annette Funicello. And she likes to stick pretty close to home out in Southern California, as I once did when I lived there. And we have her on the other end of the telephone line, and we will all now have a chance to talk to Annette. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello, Annette. This is Tommy.
Hi, Tom.
How are you tonight, Annette?
I'm fine. How are you?
Just fine. And you know that we're here with Darlene and Lonnie and Sharon and Tommy and Cheryl and Cubby.
Yes, hi, gang.
Hi, Annie. Fine.
I'm sorry that I couldn't be there with you, but my 3 children have terrible colds, and I just couldn't leave.
She has her own.
You see that, Annette? If you just moved to New York, your kids wouldn't have colds anymore.
Right. Either that or they've got to eat a little more Italian food and kill all those germs.
Yeah.
Right?
Did you watch the first program today? I don't know if it, I guess played in Los Angeles today, did it not, or yesterday?
We just finished seeing it. As a matter of fact, I have 7 little neighborhood children here, all in front of my television set.
Uh-huh.
And after the show was over, they said, "But Mrs. Gilardi, where were you?"
Boy, let me tell you, if they didn't catch you there, I fear for the younger generation. You know what I mean?
It was so funny because, the show was done 20 years ago, and they said, "But Mrs. Gilardi, we didn't see you." And I said, "Yeah, I was the one in the back. I was always the one in the back because I was one of the tallest girls."
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame I never grew up and got any taller.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. But did you know what you were doing to us little kids out there at the time? I mean, you know what I'm referring to. I mean, we used to watch the program, and you entered adolescence a lot quicker than a lot of the rest of us did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mean, did I ever think the show would have the impact that it did?
Well, you could put it that way.
We're talking about your figure.
Something. It was like, as far as I was always concerned, it was like leaving my home in the morning and going to a second home. I had a ball. I loved every day of it. The kids were great, and it was just really fun and games. I think it was, people say to me, it was like living in a fairy tale land, a typical Disneyland kind of a world, and that's exactly the way it always seemed to me. I just loved it.
How many proposals of marriage or engagement did you get while you were on that show?
Well, it's funny because I really got lots of rings through the mail and wristwatches and very expensive gifts. And the fan mail department would always hand over these letters and gifts to me, and I would send them back, with a nice note saying, I'm sorry, I just can't accept it. The mothers would write back to me and say, "Oh, you broke my son's heart. He worked and he saved, and please accept it." And they would send it back to me. So I must have had like 3,000 rings. It was really touching.
I asked the rest of the gang here about 40 minutes ago what they're doing now, and I've identified you as Mrs. Gallardi, but I'll ask you, what else are you doing? Are you still active in the business?
Yes, I am. I try to keep my hands in it a little bit. I've done a couple of commercials and a couple of guest appearances on different talk shows. I really don't want to get tied up on any kind of a shooting schedule right now that would take me away from my children, because having 3, they really take up so much of your time, and I don't want to leave them, and I'm just extremely happy being a mother and a homemaker. I really am.
Would you want your kids to do something like the Mickey Mouse Club if the fast talker were to walk through your front door tomorrow and say, "I got a great idea to put your kids in a show"?
Yeah. from the day my children were born, people have approached me and they've said, come on, get them in a commercial, let's do something with them, let's capitalize on the Disney name. And I just say no thank you, because unfortunately there is not a producer around like a Walt Disney. There is no longer a studio like his that would protect you and sort of take you under their wing and watch over you. So no, I don't want my children to go into show business right now. If they want it later, that's fine, but not right now.
Let me ask the gang here. Anybody have any questions or things, reminiscences you want to do with Annette before we go to the commercial here and let her off the line and take care of those 7 kids who are watching the show?
Just hello and love.
They all send their best, Annette.
Oh, and me too. I wish I could be there. I really do. The show, when I watched the show tonight, I could remember the songs. It was just like I had done it yesterday.
Thank you for allowing us to call and interrupt your late afternoon in Southern California.
Oh.
And I hope you understand that I say this with great affection. There are millions of us who wish that you were here tonight also. And thank you for sharing this moment with us.
Oh, thank you for calling. And kid, I wish I could be with everybody, but my love to you all. And thank you for calling, Tom.
Okay. Nickel's up. Thanks, Annette. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We will continue after these announcements, and I trust all of you will stay tuned. And our thanks again to Annette Funicello. Part of the reason that Annette could not be with us tonight is she's got a teeny tiny, 3-month-old little baby at home in California, and she was nice enough to share part of her late afternoon with us. There were 2 people on the Mouseketeers who were beyond the teenage range. One of